So you are going to ask why I am sharing this there. When someone does something right, you have to highlight this for the whole world. So what is going on here? They are doing a medieval type of philosophical conversation that when I started studying philosophy, it was already obvious for me that this is the thing. If it had to be exactly like the scholastic medieval discussions, then this is another thing. I think not, and probably the museum conservatives they want to do exactly the same. I think it not, but this is the spirit. This is the thing. So disputatio. So basically, it is the art of Aristotelic dialectics in acto. Now, what does this has to do with music? If you follow my channel, you are going to understand. You are going to understand that all the problems that we have in music, they won't be solved just by you practicing piano and figuring out the dominant seventh chord of Chopin. Okay? Why? Because this music that you like and that you want to imitate to some extent is born in a philosophical framework that is broken. So, if you want to recover the pieces of this tradition, you have to at the same time recover the aesthetic fundaments of this tradition. What many people do, the typical superficial conservative answer, not the deep conservative answer, is to just copy things of the past and do it again in all the levels. So in the musical technique, counterpoint, aesthetic, everything. Okay? Now, I don't think this is the solution. But this is the solution. So, the formation of elites and rigorous philosophical conversation, something that you in the professional forum VI control will never achieve, or in the talk classical, but there it's okay, it's like amateur, like loving classical music, then we can discuss, but you call yourself a professional forum of music, then you should double check how is your intellectual rigor going and how much you dump the people who know more than you, because one of the most basic rules in philosophy is to understand who knows more than you. Okay, so when I was in Florianopolis, I felt so dumb that I searched the most intelligent person in Florianopolis to talk with. And then we talked a lot. He perceived my curiosity and also my ideas. And then I shut up and I perceived that I knew nothing. I knew nothing about the madrigal. I knew nothing about viola da gamba. I knew nothing about cinema. I knew nothing about poetry. I knew nothing about talking. I knew nothing about wine. I was a complete idiot in the sense, but very curious. And the only virtue that I could have is to recognize who know more than me and don't be a fucking moron, dumbing down people who just know more with the excuse of calling them elitist. This is what you have in the United States that is destroying United States. In German, it is better because the German, they are by nature more arrogant. What is good and bad, so they have like a fatal, solid infallible self-love, and this is good. So this is why they did also great things. So it is the conjure of genius, my friend. You have to eat this truth. But the arrogance are going to make you so dumb, okay, that you can't even express not only your music, but the ideas that support your music. And this is what is happening today. So if you think that you are just going to do music and it's all good, this is not true, because the ideological basis of the music that you're doing is falling apart. Okay, so when you compose music that AI can just repeat easily, then you have a problem. So the arrangements of Hans Zimmer AI will be composing soon in few years. Okay, this is an aesthetic problem. Now a good melody, then this is different. So even perhaps his best melody, I would say, is only the gladiator thing. If you take the arrangement away, so I give you beautiful melody alone, okay, then you also come to the conclusion, hey, AI can't copy this so easily, I think. Now both things, the melody that we have today, or the arrangement, the production, they sit always in a philosophical framework. But this philosophical framework is broken because we don't have the intellectual elites working properly, doing what they have to do. What we have are people who are self-taught, but as an excuse to not being taught, actually. So they are not fully self-taught. So the self-taught is just self. There is more self than taught in the self-taught. Okay, it's not like you're really going through all the books that you have in your home and doing a rigorous study. So this is not the self-taught that we have today. The self-taught that we have today is to be like Jimi Hendrix and Paul McCartney. So you are born like a genius, and you start to think that you just do it well just because you have a good production. But the problem is that in music, you are born with talent. You are born as a, let's say, super, how it's called, super talented, when you have the perfect DNA for things. So you are born with perfect pitch, or you are born without perfect pitch, or you are born without talent, but still you have passion, and then you can develop it. And then for this, you have to study. And even if you have a lot of talent, you need to study in order to develop your talent. Now, this culture we lost. And we lost not only because this or that musical fact in the recent history of music. We lost this because we don't have the, let's say, the administrative work of the world of ideas anymore. Okay? So people don't understand exactly the difference between music for a concert, a soundtrack, a dance, which is the purpose of an opera, which is the purpose of orchestra. What does an orchestra represent? Which is the point with counterpoint? So people lack a lot of understanding here. Now, in academia, then we have people who have too much understanding about this. They have a lot of understanding, so it's amazing. But each person plays a role like in a big machine, and they don't know nothing about the machine as well. So each one researches only his paper and presents in the Congress and does not want to know what is outside of this paper anymore. This is the problem of academia. So there is no discussion. I presented paper. So I don't speak here just opinions. You get the point? I speak about lived experience and worked ideas. So I presented paper. Then what do they do? The moderator asks, do you have some question? Then everyone asks a question that is most of the times very, I would not say covert, but very afraid to create some friction. Okay, some dialogical friction. So the friction of the dialogue, what is almost the same as dialectic friction. So because we can't hold dialectic friction anymore, and this is why what we have here, it is absolutely a Brazilian masterpiece. So at this point I am proud. Now the art of the disputatio I won't explain here, because this is not a lesson in philosophy. This is a lesson about the crisis of music and the cultural crisis. Okay, now if I call it a lesson, it's not a lesson actually. But let's talk about just here to just finish my thought here. Brazil is a very interesting country. Why does this happen in Brazil? Because it is perhaps similar like Romania, I don't know. In Brazil, this I can say for sure, we have one of the worst systems of education ever around in the whole world, like totally minus points. And this is a very interesting thing. Do you know why? Because you can't make smart people stop giving birth to them. You get the point? So you still have smart people in any country, so to say. And I think the stupidity of the Brazilian school is so gross, and the things that you watch in the TV. So okay, we watch in the TV era. I don't know now. It is so gross that this causes repugnancy. So like an angry, and some people they get angry, so they get emotional about this, and I think they start to be the complete contrary. And this explains why still I think I still think that in Brazil we have really good intellectuals in the part of philosophy. Okay. I studied philosophy in Salzburg, and to be honest, my study of philosophy in Brazil was way more rigorous. Okay, so there I studied with the main teacher of logic in Brazil, so the Cesar Mortari, who wrote the book that is used by all these people, etc. So I had this wonderful opportunity to study with him. To be honest, during the lesson I was not happy, but today I am. And so I think Brazil has this polarity then. So between levels of the society that are almost lost. So for example, what is the funk music? It is we are proud to be the country that has the worst music of the world, the worst musical genre I think it's the funk, perhaps with the exception of the first funk that has a beautiful melody. So this is the only funk that has a melodic line, and by the way, it's an interesting grouping of melodic elements actually. So it doesn't matter how you hate the genre, but man, I don't have time to lose. Okay, so I find so. But except this, we have the funk. I think as the record of bad music ever made. So it's and we don't know well our great classical composers. This is the problem in Brazil. So we have also great operas, etc. That I think was performed here in Europe, etc. So there is the Alberto Nepomuceno, who studied with Grieg. There is the Carlos Gomes, who composed O Guarani. So it's a big epic opera about our about our Indios. We have this polarity that is very interesting. Now, because of this polarity, I think that in Brazil, some things developed further in the field of philosophy. I believe this. And I watch a lot about what is happening in the United States, also in England. So in Germany and Austria, but Austria, YouTube does not show nothing from Austria. Austria is like not existent in internet. I find this so disgusting. Anyways, with Germany is the same thing, but it's the same old thing, let's say. In Brazil, it's a kind of Renaissance feeling. So the people, they are enthusiastic about philosophy, and this I never saw in Germany, because Germany is dead. Even if it runs in high quality many things, it is dead. So as I was there conducting, for example, choir, etc. Everything is perfect in Germany. Everything is rich, but it's kind of dead. So there is no magic. It's hard to explain. So I think there is a kind of renaissance in Brazil, and it is not so different than what we have in the United States. But so far as I can tell, the United States does not have a philosopher in this moment in time. Okay, so the Thomas Sowell is economist, etc. The Jordan Peterson is psychologist from Canada who try to appear as philosopher, and then it starts to be pathetic. Because one thing is to be a philosopher, another thing is to be a communicator or showman. It's hard to be both. Now, the Chomsky disappeared. In the left, so the left works like in groups. So there is not like an important figure that would recover this type of work that we had in the Middle Ages. Okay, if I had a megaphone, I would do this. By the way, I had a channel in philosophy, but I can run 2 channels, so this is why I don't even tell which channel is. And if I could tell to 4 million people, I would say it is this. So it is not like mono discourse we have an overload of mono discourse. So I talk, you shut up, and you listen. And you see in my channel how this reflects this, because I have a conversational style. So when I teach class, for example, I taught history of music here in Vienna, not online, in the city. So I taught history of music. The way that to do is very dialogic, and this is the way that in which I was a student as well. I was very dialogical. I say, see, I can read a book. You don't need to talk the whole lesson like this. I never got the point. I want the disputatio. I want the discussion. Okay, so if you say that Hans Zimmer is the genius, so let's go. Let's go. So this is why some books I don't even read, because the thing is so clear for me. So I have a reason already to debunk your argument from the start. So why should I read the whole thing? I don't need to read the complete works of Horkheimer to do the statement that communism killed more than 40 million people in China. Okay, so you want to discuss the number. So then let's give 20 million. You want to discuss 7, 8 million. So it's more than the Holocaust. Okay, so why do we have a communist party still? And why the Nazi party is like criminalized? What is correct? But the communist party we have. So why is this? Good question. Why is Satanism, I mean really hardcore, active Satanism? I'm not even talking about King Diamond and Anton LaFey, okay? And principally, I'm not talking about Ozzy, okay? Because he was not a Satanist, as many ignorant in the conservative side want to claim. So let's assume this. So why is this allowed? So it's a matter of discussion, of disputatio. So come here, talk. Now, which is the point of disputatio? So this is not a conversation. It's not like a small talk. And it's not like a simple exchange of opinions. It is a more methodic aspect of philosophy with very precise rules. The rules that they are using here was given by the moderator, and he wrote somewhere. What is interesting, what I have to analyze here, I still think, because I know my brothers in Brazil, so I think it is like very museum, a little bit like, I don't want to offend, but a little bit poser. So I don't want to call him poser, but it is like very ultra conservative and does not allow take into consideration the new developments of logic and dialectic and philosophy of language. So, but okay. They are very oriented actually by Thomas von Aquinas, and this started to be like an agenda and the main sword to attack the revolutionary woke spirit. So you can understand why in Brazil this happens, this polarization, and why in the United States. Okay. While here I am, I don't care about nothing about this slogans. Okay, so this is a secondary thing. However, the idea of the conversation that is methodic and wants to put the argument and the concepts in test is absolutely valid and required. Okay, so props and congratulations for this initiative. Now, to finish this commentary here. I would like to differentiate my concept of a true philosophical conversation and this old disputatio that perhaps it is old for a reason as well, no? I think some things they died for a reason, okay? But I don't know the history of the decadence of the practice of the disputatio, so I would need to be careful here. However, I have the feeling that it had some problems, okay, and I have the feeling that many conservatives they start to conserve also bad things again. But anyways, I think there are more good things than bad things. This is the important thing. There are more good things here than bad things. Still, this is not my concept. So my concept of a true philosophical conversation is based on law and philosophy of right and the right, the courtroom system. Okay. I wrote now some small pages of philosophy of music, and the process that I go to write these pages it happens before I write them for many years. So I think about my philosophical statements from the point of view of a legal courtroom, and I call this the courtroom analysis. So I am an attorney, a judge, and an attorney of the contrary idea. And I think about evidence, indicators, accusations, and everything happens in a dialectical framework as well. So someone accuses that A is true, then the other side will say no, A is not true, etc. But there is the framework of the evidence, and here comes the importance of the analytic philosophy in my thinking. So the evidence has a lot to do with the philosophy of the reference, as we got developed by Quine, and also the Bertrand Russell, and many other elements of the analytical instrumentarium, like the analysis of pseudo concepts and pseudo problems, for example. But here, this part is the part that we have in common with the organum of Aristotle. So it's nothing so new. What is new is the level of depth that the analytic philosophers gave to some aspects of the classic philosophy. So my disputatio, let's say, is so my ideal scenario would be almost like a philosophical courtroom, but with the difference that the point is not to do a judgment, to condemn, hey, he's a bad philosopher, he is the okay, because the idea is not to create the bullying of the philosopher who lost some argument or something like this, because bullying we have already a lot in the other side, no? The idea is to use this as a framework to develop the philosophical rigor in a more contemporary sense than the simple copy of the scholastic method of philosophical conversation. So more about this, I would have to develop then a proper lesson, but I just say here, I am very happy that this has happened. So I never saw this happen on YouTube. If this happened in United States or whatever, then good, tell me. But me here the first time, so I studied philosophy, so complete degree, etc. So I never saw this happen. Okay, And also in Salzburg, I studied in another faculty. No, I didn't do the same study 2 times. I studied the analytical, logical philosophy, and then it's also with the theologic, the anthropological. So in both departments, I never saw something like this. I went to the Congress of German philosophy, the German Congress of Philosophy, and there is nothing something like this. What we have is like just conversation, and this is everywhere today. And if the philosophers don't do it right, so the other categories of society will, the other categories of the intellectual discourse and the other types of intellectual elites will also fail, because the function of the philosopher is to do exactly this, to teach you how to think and to teach you how to speak about thought. And if the philosophers don't do this well, no one will have the reference. So this confirms also my thesis when I left philosophy, that most of the problems that we have today, they happen because of the problem in the source. Okay, in the source of thoughts about the ultimate principles of everything that we have in reality. So this is my commentary. If you are annoyed that I talk about philosophy in this channel, please leave, because I don't have time to waste with ignorance. So if you can't understand this, it's okay, but if you actively ignore, you are the ignorant. So you probably don't know. If you don't know, it's okay. I don't have a problem with people who don't know. I don't know many things. There are books that if you tell me, I want to hide that because I didn't read them. The problem is not to not know. The problem is to not know, and to not want to know, and to hate who knows. This is the problem. And these are the type of people who are guiding our cultural elites in music. Which are these cultural elites? The main Reddit forums, the VI control, and many Discord forums. They don't have an intellectual regulation inside of them. What they have is a regulation of systematic mediocrity. And then we have to think about this if we really love music beyond a system of marketing and short-term gratification. Okay, so see you later. Thanks very much. Ciao, ciao.